Hello. Sorry to bother you. Can I ask you a slightly odd question?
Yeah, sure.
I'm making a podcast called Strangers on a Bench, where essentially I talk to people I don't know on benches for 10 or 15 minutes. Are you up for that? Do you want to give it a go? Do you want to know something funny?
Go on.
This is actually the first time that I've had two people on a bench with me,
All right.
and not just one.
Okay.
But you know, all rules are supposed to be broken.
Just got to go with the flow.
Just got to go with it. Shall I tell you how this works?
Yes, go.
There's a start question and an end question.
Okay.
And then whatever happens in the middle, happens in the middle.
That sounds like life. Born, something, die.
Exactly. This is so true. Right. So yeah, so the start question, you live and you die. What do you want the last question to be before you die?
I know what I don't want it to be. Don't ask me, what did you achieve in your life? Because I want to go out on a high note.
Well, that's the question you don't want to be asked. What question do you want to be
What
asked?
would I like to be asked? Oh, God. See, if I had time to answer it, it would be like, how the hell do we make the world work? That would be the question, right?
That's the question you want to be asked as your final question before you die.
I'd like to answer it. But no,
how the hell do you make the world work? Maybe that would keep you alive. and then you actually wouldn't die.
Yeah.
Where do you want to die out of interest? Any place?
I'm not planning to die.
Well, I'm not hoping you do, but do you have a place where you'd like that to happen?
I've always lived around here. I was ill 18 months ago. I very nearly died. And I was in the Freeman, and the people in the Freeman were lovely. So, that seems like quite a good place. The Freeman Hospital.
Oh, right, fantastic.
Freeman Hospital, yeah.
Oh, so you almost got that last question. You almost got the chance to be...
And yeah,
well done for making it out.
It was wonderful. It was great. It was amazing. I got shingles, and then I had pain in my gut, and then one day I just collapsed. And my brothers and Gillian got me into hospital. They were doing tests on me and stuff, and then I'm lying in the bed in the hospital. My son is sitting at my feet, and I said to him, I feel a bit strange, could you get someone? So the last thing I saw was him walking down. And the next thing I know, there's sirens going, there's like 10 people all around me, and I'm looking up at the ceiling, and they're putting a drip into me, and I hear somebody say, Major Bleed. And,
not the words you want to hear.
Not the words you want to hear.
Unless your name is Major Bleed, some kind of... There's got to be one out there somewhere.
I just started bleeding into my gut.
Oh, crikey.
Fortunately, they were going to do a scan of me that evening, and they had a bunch of radiologists and people in the hospital. And so the next thing I know, my bed is racing down the corridor. You know that thing where you see the tiles going whiz, whiz, whiz? Yeah, I'm in the lift, down in intervention radiology. So they got me in there, and then there was like a business meeting. They were just so businesslike and organised. Okay, have we got that? Okay, is John, is he over there? They sounded so together. And they said, and then they come round to me and they say, well, we'd like to put you to sleep if that would be all right. And I said, like, do I have a choice? Next thing I know is it's 11 o'clock the following morning. And what they'd done was they had stuck a tube up inside an artery into the gut, which was bleeding. They gave me 7 units of blood, that's a whole person's worth of blood. Wow. And they put a wire up inside the artery, and they sort of push it out the end of a tube, and when it comes out, it sort of tangles itself into a knot, and then they put another one on, and they join the two together, and it causes a clot. So and then instead of bleeding to death, job done. It was amazing, and people react to things in different ways. My way of reacting to this was I was just really inquisitive. I kept asking them questions as we're racing down the corridor, and it was fascinating.
Is that your way of coping, of course, I guess?
Well, I think I'm just interested in stuff. You know, I mean,
Even if you're dying.
well, yeah.
So it's a prevalent question. What you would be asked for the last question?
And the people in the hospital kept saying to me, "Well, so what's your job? You know, were you a medic?" I said, "No, I'm just inquisitive." You know.
So you were about to die, but now you're alive,
Yeah.
and you came out of the hospital with a new lease of life.
A new lease of life. Yeah. I always thought life was wonderful, but it is. Life is.
It is good. Look
at
at
the
this.
sunshine. Look at the green leaves and the
light
these
through
things.
the
Clearly,
trees.
the trees don't know just how bad things are getting. They're quite. You're living in ignorance. Well done. You know?
So true. So true. May I ask, this is, as we established, the first time I've spoken to two people on a bench. Can you describe who this person is to you?
This is Gillian. She's my partner. We're partners, aren't we? Gillian.
Is it in doubt?
Partnership is very complicated, isn't it? It is complicated. It involves sometimes having difficult conversations, and usually, we always feel better afterwards, don't we? But they're difficult.
What kind of difficult conversations are you having?
Oh God, what do we talk about? Difficult,
We
aren't they?
think very differently.
We do. That's right.
Yeah.
Gillian's a poet. If I'm
Am I allowed
allowed,
to say that much?
You can say whatever you want, Gillian.
she's a proper poet, and which I'm not. I'm
You famously hate poetry.
not at all. No. But I am ignorant. So you know.
Gillian, have you
more than I do.
written a poem about this stranger?
Several.
Yes, several.
Several. Do they flow out easy? Do they come easy?
Well, there's one that introduces the last book that started life as a haiku and describes how Tom took the old garden gate off its hinges, and this was about 3 more years ago, intending to repair it. And it still hangs standing against the house wall in the garden.
But the intention is there. You know, can you explain yourself with this garden gate and the hinges?
I have a lot of things to do. all I needed was the hinges, basically, the hinges and the knob that you get in through the door, through the gate with, and about 10 pieces of nice wood.
So
treatment.
you're waiting to get this particular.
Well, at the moment I'm doing AI, so you know.
What,
So
AI
I'm
hinges?
too occupied with AI to get round to the gate.
What would inspire you to do the gate? What do you think would have to happen?
This podcast.
Is this going to be,
Ask me if
this
I'm going to
gonna
do
be
it.
the
That's the last question. When are you going to get that gate done?
Did you do the gate? You can't die without that.
No.
So far, what I know about your partnership is Gillian has written some poetry about you. You have difficult conversations.
All the couples I know have different conversations, by the way.
What percentage of your conversations are difficult?
Oh, no. It happens every a week or 10 days or something. We might have, yeah,
It's fairly frequent.
Okay.
very frequent. Okay.
What do you think kicks it off? May I ask?
What do we have conversations about?
You live together.
Gillian, some of the time we do.
We got our own houses. Mine's down near Durham.
Okay.
Yeah. Gillian she would describe herself as not being a Christian, but of being close to the Christian tradition. Would that be okay? And she has an interest in spirituality. I'm an absolute hardcore atheist, really. I'm not a hardcore atheist. That is, I'm not a believer. That's not my faith.
Yeah.
It's not my faith that there is no God. That's my opinion. But it's a fairly strong opinion, right?
You're backing it.
I'm backing it.
So how? So is this this is a genuine point of contention between you both?
So a point of contention we've had, I say to her, but there are some things that we absolutely know. And she says, well, no.
We both studied philosophy.
Okay.
Right.
Not together.
Yes,
when we
but
were
separately.
students.
And I say, for goodness sake, 2 and 2 is 4. And then, I don't know what you say then, because I don't understand it. But it results in me thinking, she doesn't agree with me that 2 and 2 is 4. Or she doesn't
You
agree
need
with
to think I'm stupid.
and you see, now we're starting. See what you've done. Look at it, Tommy, that's
I
it.
don't even need to be here. I can just leave.
That's right.
I'll give Gillian the other microphone and I'll just have a little walk.
Yeah, right.
And I'll come back in an hour and see what's happened.
I honestly think sometimes we have conversations and I think this is just a film script. Anyway.
Well, this is the moment. You've wished it into existence.
Wow.
Okay, I mean, I'm now intrigued how long you've been what you call a partnership.
This is our 14th year. We started
1-4, okay.
Christmas, so we're Christmas whenever it was.
2013?
So yes, 2013. So it's
On Christmas Day itself?
no, the 27th.
Oh.
Why do women always know dates? But I went to see her and we played Scrabble, didn't we? That was it. That closed the deal.
Scrabble for the win. Did you finish the game?
Yeah.
Oh yes, more than one we had, didn't we?
Oh, fantastic. So you finished the game and did you do a kind of formal handshake to declare partnership?
No, he did. He made potato cheese for supper at about 1 o'clock in the morning in my house because I'd entertained a lot over Christmas. I had no food left on the 27th.
I see.
Except potatoes
Potato and cheese.
Yes.
So you had potato cheese at 1 o'clock in the morning after 2 games of Scrabble.
And we burned all Gillian's firewood, haven't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there you go.
And 14 years later, and you know,
We're
by my calculations,
that.
you know, if you're having a difficult conversation every week,
We've had hundreds and hundreds.
That's getting towards 1,000 difficult conversations.
We've resolved a lot of things, though, haven't we?
Yeah.
We have sorted out a lot of difficulties. Definitely, yeah. It's also been interesting for me because I've always taken a fairly crisp approach to people who didn't agree with me, and I've had to learn to sort of.
What is it about the way Gillian has disagreed with you that's meant that it's worked, whereas before it hadn't?
She's persisted. The thing is, I'm happy to get into a fight if I win, but if I get into a fight and it just goes nowhere, well, it gets a bit tedious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When these difficult conversations happen, and it sounds like you need some kind of resolution. Is this correct?
Yeah,
so you need
because I'm right, Tom.
So
it's like this, come on!
You don't understand. I'm right.
I'm
You're not getting it.
Like, what's the matter with you?
So, but what has to happen for you to be content? Does Gillian need to say, I agree with you, or correct? Does she
I'm not sure that's
lose?
happened ever yet. Has that ever happened?
We tacitly agree to differ.
We get to a point where whatever it is that we're talking about, we've kind of resolved it. It has got a lot easier. I mean, early on when we got together, we had a conversation about. It wasn't about feminism, but it was about feminism. It was about that. How can I say this? The feminists are right. Women are, have not been treated properly. We know that, right? Okay, in lots of ways.
Yeah.
So.
Is there a but coming?
There is. Well, not a but. No, I mean, feminism, you can use it as a way to kind of make everybody else wrong. As well as it being, a genuine, authentic cause that should be taken forward, you can use it as a weapon against people, So I said something to Gillian about this. I said, I think the way I put it was, I said, being a feminist can be a victim position, and being a victim is a very powerful position because then, the other person feels bad because they're victimizing you.
Sure.
Some people. and then Gillian just wouldn't agree with it. So this is one night. The next day we were going to see a friend of hers in Newcastle, and I don't know if we actually had.
When was this?
This was fairly early on. We went. You said to me, actually, you were right about that. You can use feminism that way. And I thought,
I don't recall.
It's true. You did. And I thought somebody that can. This is the thing that hooked me into being around with her. Somebody that can be very stuck in a position and then come to see that there's an alternative way of looking at it and acknowledge it. I thought that was fantastic. You need that in
Even though, according to Gillian, this could be some kind of fantasy of yours.
There'll be a discussion about this later. Yeah, okay, so there you go.
So 14 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you know, I'm not saying you're, you know, not young, but
Well, we are,
you are
as
not
it
young, I
happens.
suppose. No, maybe that's what I'm saying. But I mean, this is a partnership later on in life.
It is, yeah.
Are we?
Yeah.
Are we? That's fair to say.
Yeah,
What I mean, what does it mean to strike up a partnership at this kind of point in life?
I'd be interested to hear what you have to say about that.
Gillian, what do you say? What do you think?
It's possibly a more open-ended exploration than it might have been earlier in life. Because what can happen now?
It's
Interesting.
It's changed things a lot for you, hasn't it? Actually, because I think in the past you would have been pretty sort of. Oh gosh, I don't know. You've become very willing to make space for me to be me. Something like that.
But not at the expense of my feminism.
No.
How much
Feminism-
space do you need to be you these days?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm not very tolerant of views which are stupid.
But are you saying that Gillian's allowed you to be more more intolerant? Openly.
One area of massive intolerance that I have, and I still have in a sense, but I've modified the way I do it. I do not know what this word God means, and there are Jehovah's Witnesses all around the place, and I just don't understand how they think. Actually, the Jehovah's Witnesses, the Baptists more. I've said to them, the view that you have about God, where God says, don't do this, somebody does it. Not only do they get punished, but all their descendants do forever. That's not a God.
It's just not on.
It's not, exactly. And I mean, it's like, so I'm not that tolerant of that point of view.
Yeah.
And I have long conversations with people about that sort of thing, saying, what the hell are you talking about?
And you have conversations with Jehovah's Witnesses themselves
Yeah.
sometimes.
The
How does that go?
Jehovah's Witnesses are really nice. I don't know if you talk to them, they're lovely. And, so I don't...
The big reveal.
Definitely not.
Don't worry.
Definitely
That's
not.
safe. That's safe.
But the Baptists are a bit hardcore, so I don't shout at them, but I do say, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah. Anyway.
You ready for the first question?
Yes, go.
The first question I ask people is, what's your favourite day of the week? But you can't confer. But maybe you have to get, what do you think each other's answer will be?
Aha.
This is a fun game.
Okay.
It's like,
Are you ready?
It's like a game show. What do you think each other's is going to be?
I think you're going to say Friday.
Okay. And Gillian thinks...
I can't think of a specific one.
Oh.
Let me go for Thursday.
Right.
How far are we accurate? Any accuracy there?
I don't have a favourite day of the week. What would that
Gillian,
mean?
are you Friday?
No, my favourite is Saturday.
Oh, there we go. You're a day away.
It really is my favourite in terms of what you do, and also
Yeah,
I was
okay.
born on it.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Do you know anything else about your birth?
Quite a lot.
Quite a lot. Okay. Can you say anything about your day of birth?
I was born about 1:20 in the morning.
1:20 in the
and
morning.
It was a private nursing home post-war. I was born in '49, and they took me away from my mother at 1:30 in the morning and kept me until the morning. And she said, "I saw you being brought in, coming in through the door. Your little fist's going like mad." And so I was angry.
Oh, you were really pissed. What? Because you be denied mother or denied
Yes, I
something
think
else?
so. I mean, it must have been that.
Yeah.
That is nuts, isn't it?
Yes.
Taking
Mad.
Yes. So make what you will of it.
Yes.
I've been trying to make something of
Yeah.
it all this year.
Wow. Did you ever ask mother about it?
Oh yes, we talked a lot. I mean, I come more and more to just think of the war as responsible for the difficulties in my dysfunctional family, and both my parents and my mother's parents had a difficult war. My mother's brother was a navigator in an RAF Lancaster, and he was killed. The whole crew was killed, so that was quite a hard war, I think.
Yeah.
And I was the first child, So I got to carry rather a lot, I think. Like, I'm not the only person
Yeah.
in our generation, of course, but yeah.
But that shaped the opening stages of your life.
And the rest of it.
And the rest of it. Yeah, that's a good point,
That's
actually.
what I'm still
If it
thinking
shapes the
about
start,
it.
it shapes the whole thing, doesn't it, really?
Yes.
We're just recovering from different people's traumas, really, aren't we?
Yes.
This is what life is.
Well,
But anyway, so that's why Saturday. That's why Saturday is your favourite day. What day were you born?
no idea. No, I can tell you what day of the year it was. It was the 31st of December, and my mum. Apparently there were journalists around who were quite excited because I might be the last baby of the year, but I wasn't. So there you go. The first I came.
Is that what journalists hang around in hospitals for the last baby of the year?
They're full of that sort of stuff. Yeah, that's what journalists do. And it's a drag being born on the 31st of December. It's too close to Christmas, and you don't get your presents. So.
But also, people are guaranteed to be celebrating
Subsequently.
on your date of birth, though.
That's true.
So that's fun. When you see the fireworks out of the window, you think it's for yourself. Oh, they're celebrating me again.
That's right. Yeah.
So you don't have a favourite day of the week?
I don't, and I was thinking maybe you should ask which is my favourite month. I mean,
Okay. well, I mean, if you want to be asked about your favourite month.
This is lovely. April has been fantastic, hasn't it? With the beautiful little pale green leaves coming out on the trees, and the trees seem so happy. We're in the Dean now, and the Dean is absolutely gorgeous. It just feels so rich and beautiful down here.
We're in Newcastle.
We're in Newcastle, in the Dean, Jesmond Dean, which was bought by a guy who made his fortune from selling machine guns to both sides in the Sino-Japanese War, I understand. I mean, that might be slightly dodgy history, but...
Oh, wow. But I mean, there is a waterfall, so...
There's a beautiful waterfall, which was blasted out with gunpowder. It wasn't like that before. It was he'd made it much more dramatic.
How did you end up in this part of the world? Have you always been here?
Yeah, I was just dropped here. Yeah, my mum dropped me here. I was born I was born in the General Hospital, so that's just 3 miles away or something like that. But I mean, most of my life actually I've lived away from Newcastle, but this is very much home. We came there as kids. There's a quarry you can scramble around in, and stepping stones up the river that you can fall in the water from, and good stuff like that.
And what was a childhood Jesmond Dean day like then?
We would come down here with my mum, and that piece of grass across there.
Yeah.
I was just saying to Julian, we would bring a rug and an old wicker basket with plates held in leather straps in the roof in the lid of the basket, and eat spam and white bread sandwiches. Those were the days.
How do you feel about picnics generally? You're a picnic fan?
Do you know, we haven't had a picnic. When have we ever had a picnic since we got together?
You guys had one picnic?
we
for 14 years?
We should have had it.
We haven't really.
We've had walks, we've had lots of walks.
And you turned me back onto ice cream.
Oh, you like ice
Oh, you got Gillian back onto ice cream. Where had you been from ice cream? Why did you retire from ice cream in the first place?
It's your sort of thing, really.
I didn't really, but we liked, my sisters and I liked ice lollies.
Okay.
And my mother was a bit suspicious of them because there was lead in the wrapping. And
Oh, okay.
She was quite
Yeah.
very eco.
Oh, I
even
see.
In those
Yeah.
days. But
And then you got into gitans, didn't you? She smoked gitans.
I ended up with gitan roll-ups. I absolutely loved smoking, as did my dad. And my mother smoked as well.
And did you give up at some point?
Yes, 27 years ago.
Okay. Did this coincide with the ice cream event as well? You put down the ice cream and the cigarettes at the same time.
No.
But you did give up. But you did give up smoking.
Yes.
Is that good? Has that been a good thing?
Well, now especially it's really good because if you have anything to do with medical people and you say, I actually gave up smoking, and they are really impressed, which is hugely gratifying because it was the most difficult thing I have ever done.
Yeah.
It was dreadfully difficult.
How did you do it?
Well, I'd spent a long time beforehand leaving an hour between cigarettes. And that was one thing that helped. So I was working with a woman who was a spiritual healer. I mean, she'd done naturopathy training, but I don't think I could have done it without her. You know, we had a really deep relationship. So, yeah, and I've actually managed to stay with it. So I don't believe it. I never say to myself I've given up smoking. You know, I could go back to it any minute.
How many would you smoke a day prior to giving up?
Between 15 and 30, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well done for the willpower.
Yeah.
Did anything replace cigarettes? Did he start, playing more Scrabble?
No, I think coffee. I mean, I drank lots of coffee anyway, and chocolate. I mean, I realised I'm addicted to addiction. I needed a vice, so I turned it into chocolate, and the smoker in my head said, "You seriously think that's an addiction?" But there we go.
We still get through the chocolate now? Is it still chocolate?
Yes, I just need something that's a sort of wicked.
Yes. No,
addiction.
I'm with you on that one. I think we all need something like that, you know?
What's yours? Yeah.
Well, what's mine? It was definitely not smoking.
Good.
I would say mine is it's like peanut butter issue, where I kind of get big
Yeah.
tubs of the stuff, and they're very good now. They're very edible as a sole bit of food.
You
Yeah.
eat it by the spoonful.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Wow, crazy
I just
stuff.
don't even put it on anything,
No.
and that's a problem. In one particular episode of this podcast, I did once mention the peanut butter issue before, and I mentioned the brand name, the one I like,
Uh-huh.
and the owner of that brand, or the person, got in touch and sent me some tubs and some other things, which got me even more hooked.
Right.
You know, so that's the danger of mentioning brands.
Oh, right.
brand
Well,
names.
I'll just say Lindt dark chocolate is my thing. Yeah. 90% Lindt. That's what I need. Yeah.
Do you have children?
I have a son and a daughter. And my daughter's producing, probably, maybe even at this moment, is producing another child. So that'll be
Wow, this
exciting.
very moment.
Possible, well, very likely, yeah. And
It's the due
she's
date.
due. She's
Yes.
absolutely due. Yeah, it is one thing. I mean, it's awe-inspiring to see somebody go through that. It's
It is,
really
yeah.
hard. And you've got kids?
I
Yeah?
do.
You do. Okay, so you've been there.
I have.
Yeah. Okay.
Both occasions.
Cool. Oh, excuse
Although-
me. Well, I was kind of assuming you looked so young.
Oh, that's very sweet of you to say. My children are quite old now. I say old. They're old. They're 12. One's 12. 10,
Right. Oh well.
You know.
You wait any minute now. They'll have PhDs. It's like, I don't know.
40, 50. How have you found being a parent generally?
Well, so okay, we're spilling the beans here, aren't we? I mean, so we separated. The mother of my children and I separated, and it wasn't easy. It seemed unnecessary to me, and but it was fine until the lawyers got involved, and it was hard. I mean, my kids are great, they're very bright, and so they do both have PhDs now, which is beyond comprehension. I mean, watching somebody go through that, like, watching your kids doing a PhD, it's like, wow, that is tough.
Have your children had to defend their PhD against you? Have you
Tom,
tested them out?
No, my son, I mean, I did a physics degree. My son did a physics degree as well. In fact, they both did physics degrees. And he was investigating whether you could make a particular kind of solar panel. There's some quantum mechanical stuff, and I couldn't understand what the hell he was talking about. It was completely beyond me. Serious maths. I mean, he gave me the PhD, and it's embarrassing that I just didn't actually manage to read it. So
Well,
yeah,
you helped, make him in the first place. So
that is true.
he's got
That
a
is
lot.
true.
He's got a lot to thank you for.
That is true. It's great teaching people stuff because that's when you learn it, isn't it? So
So you may be teaching some stuff to a grandchild.
That'll be, yeah.
It's
my first grandchild, yeah.
This will be the first one.
It'll be the first one.
So you seem very relaxed.
Well, yeah.
And they are 300 miles away.
That's right, yeah. I can hardly feel the pain at all. No, I am.
Big moment, no?
Truthfully, I am quite nervous for her. I hope I'm fingers crossed.
So will you touch wood, all is well, what will be your next move? Will you be, where do you say it's happening?
It's in London.
Oh, it's in London. So
Yeah,
will you be on the first train?
No, I should be on a second train sort of thing. Yeah. Her mum will be down there with in the immediate aftermath, and indeed, no, that's you need. It's really helpful to have someone there, as you'll know. I mean, it really helps.
What are relations like with the mother?
Okay. When I look back on it, yeah. When I look back on it, we needn't have come apart. It's ridiculous, really.
But then you wouldn't be with Gillian.
Well, that's true.
So swings and roundabouts.
So bad luck. No, well, that's true. Yes, it's true. Life is complicated, isn't it? But we went to various counsellors and therapists and things just to kind of try and sort out our relationship.
So what age are we talking about now?
I was around 40, I think, when we had the kids. Yeah, and then we were fine for about 7 years, and then things happened. I don't think I'll talk about that, but we ended up going to Relate. And they talked to us both individually, your childhood and and then we talked to us about the situation we were in, how was it going. So they finally brought us together, and then I remember the therapist, woman counsellor, saying to me, I think what we have here is a communications problem, and I think we could probably fix it if that's what you want. So do you want to put it together again? And she'd asked me, are you willing? I said yes. She asked me, "Do you want to?" And I said, "No, I'm fed up. I've had enough. I've tried my level best to make it work, and I'm just fed up with her. And so, do I want to get together? No. Now, if she'd said, well, "Are you willing?" we would be together now. The kids would have been grown up in one household. And the kids suffer from this really, particularly my son, who was old enough to understand a bit what was happening and to want to change it, to want to get us back together again, and not to be able to. Oh. This is the thing. So, your first experience of trying to make something happen in the world. I'm not sure I should be telling you all this.
How did he try to get you back together again?
He certainly talked to her. He probably talked to me. By the time you become an adult, you've got such a variety of ways of doing things that a 7-year-old child can't really address.
It's quite rare, although I haven't had that many instances of a child, despite knowing the situation, trying to get their parents back together. That's quite interesting.
Yeah.
But do you think that's because he actually thought, like you, that you were never that far away from it? Is that the point? It was touch and go, and there was actually.
No, I don't. I think he just knew it was the right thing.
That you would be together.
Yeah, that's because that is the right thing, isn't it? The parents should be together, and the kids should grow up with that, and they have to go through. May I say this on your podcast? But they have to go through shit from time to time. The things are difficult. Like we've been saying, sometimes you have difficult conversations.
Like to me, famously.
Yeah, famously. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's hard being with another person, isn't it? It is, and it inevitably, and maybe it should be. I mean,
but it sounds like you've made two delightful humans.
Yep. Yeah, they're great.
And you probably had a good time at various points.
Yeah. Oh yes, indeed. Yeah, that's true.
Maybe if you just flip it around, there was many successes were had.
Yeah.
you know, things can't be successful forever.
No, no. I suppose it's
And
really.
then you'll have your golden time.
We did have a golden time. Her wedding she got married in Cyprus this year, and it was wonderful.
Oh, you went along.
Of
Oh,
course.
that's nice.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay, so you're invited to weddings.
Oh God, yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
great.
we get on okay?
Okay,
you know.
fine.
It's just, and it really, I suppose you're right. That's very good, Tom. Thanks, very helpful. I mean, it was all fine, except I'll tell you why it wasn't fine for me during the process. But it wasn't fine for my son either. At the time, it was really upsetting for him. So it became that the standard deal was the mum would get them 12 days of a fortnight, and then the dad would get them at those alternate weekends. So as a father, you see your kids arrive, this alternate weekend, and you've kind of forgotten who they are. And then over the course of the weekend, you get back in touch with them, you get close to them again, and then they go away.
Yeah.
And it's like you're being picked up and then dropped,
Yeah.
and then picked up and then dropped, and it's hard. It's really hard
Appreciate that, yeah.
because I remember one of the first nights when I was sleeping in a different house from them, and it was like a physical pain. It surprised me. I really wasn't expecting it. That's how it was. For years, it occupied me all the time, and I thought a lot about it, and I am so grateful not to think about that time anymore, really. So you brought it all back, son of a bitch!
I'm so grateful you brought
so
it back.
innocent. Walks across the bridge. Hi, No, thank you. Thank you. It's good to. You've heard this story before, haven't you? But they're great. I mean, humans do this sort of thing, don't they?
So you attended the wedding in Cyprus.
Absolutely. It's amazing because
And what was your memory of the? Where were you positioned? Where did she put you? Back left or right at the front?
of course right at the front. yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, myself, her mother, and the new family that we've just sort of acquired, the Cypriot family.
Oh, hang on one second. Sorry, who got married?
My daughter.
Oh, your daughter.
My daughter got married.
Okay, right. Sorry, I thought your
Ex-partner. No.
was getting married.
No.
Sorry.
No. She is married, but I was not invited to the wedding.
Okay, I thought. Sorry.
You have a more generous,
Okay.
generous spirit than I do. No, it's my daughter getting married.
Okay,
It's my daughter getting married.
fine. Okay. No, that's
yeah.
better. And,
No.
and were you sat close-ish to ex-partner?
Yeah, next door.
Yeah.
We sit
Next
next to
door.
each other, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
So
And we do talk to each other. I mean,
What words were there any meaningful words exchanged between you on that day?
Oh, no, you should ask it to a woman. I don't remember conversations verbatim.
Apart from that one 12 years ago, when you claimed that Gillian said that thing that she actually thought you were right about feminism.
I remember that.
You remember that
I
particular
remember when
conversation?
she told me I was right. Yeah.
But there were no kind of passing remarks about the daughter getting married. It's quite a big day.
Oh God, yeah. I'm pretty sure her mum said, "She's so beautiful," because she was beautiful. Yeah, she was beautiful that day. And then so the way they do it in Cyprus, when the groom is getting dressed up, so the groom and the bride aren't together at that point. The family they all turn up. The groom comes out sort of basically dressed in vest and in his underwear, basically.
Okay.
And then
Comes out just in front of the congregation.
No, not in the congregation. This is at home.
Oh, right, sorry. Right. Okay.
And they have a basket and they bring him sort of a shirt and a pair of trousers and a pair of shoes and all this. So he gets dressed and so that was great fun. And then they had musicians and stuff. It was really cool. Yeah. It was lovely.
Did you have a formal role? Anything you needed to do on the day? Did they?
Yep. I had to stand in line and have hundreds of people come and greet me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's culturally
that's what they do.
happens.
Shake hands and things. Yeah.
Was the handshake as firm at the start as it was at the end?
No.
Was it getting a bit floppy after?
I was fine. No, Cyprus is nice, and the people are smart, and they're very. People always say this, don't they? They say the people are wonderful, and I really did feel that. Cyprus is a great place. We didn't treat Cyprus great as British, you know. You're
talking about the government.
We're talking about me. No, not me. No. I'm talking about
not your general philosophy.
Perfidious Albion,
yes.
Britain. I mean, I am, in a way, I'm proud of being of Britain, and in a way, I'm really ashamed of it. We have done terrible things.
Yeah, we have.
We have.
Obviously, you've been with each other 14 years.
Amazing, eh?
So this is a question for both of you, related to the other person.
Okay.
Can you think of a particular moment which you think most defines why you think highly of that person? Does that make sense to the question? Just something where you just go, oh, hang on, yeah, that's why I think this person's great. Who wants to go first? No pressure.
I think you've got something to say, yeah?
And there are so many, but I think the day after he had the operation in the hospital here to seal up the leaking blood vessel.
Yeah.
And so his life was saved by the team, and I remember going to see him the day after, and I came up and found intensive care.
Yeah.
And walked in, and I encountered this rather sort of a large round armchair. It was like a throne, and you looked like an emperor. And then there was a terrible complication with the man in the bed next to you who got COVID, and the whole ward had to be evacuated after all this had happened before. And you knew which medicine you needed, and you fought your way up to the top of the hierarchy of doctors. I mean, when I saw you stomping up and down the corridor of the ward in your hospital pyjamas, when you were not going to give in, all your energy had come back. And I was hugely grateful, because I thought, that's really, I mean, I know they did a magnificent job, but I thought, no, it's your spirit. You just weren't going to die.
You were impressed with my
With your fighting spirit, yes.
Oh, thank
Yes.
you. Oh, that's good. Paxlovid. So I talked.
That was a nice one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, now, your turn now.
Well.
You know, you're not going to get off. He's got a great
I'm
one.
going to think something. Yeah, you will. Well, so not long after we got together, there was a weekend at Wordsworth's house in the Lake District, Grasmere, and she gave a writing workshop, which was great. It was. She's a really good teacher of creative writing, is Gillian. You were very good. You were
very willing, and you gave out the pencils.
You were giving out the pencils. Fantastic. So, what was it about seeing Gillian in that particular environment which made it stand out?
She was a master of the situation, and so can I have two?
Oh, yeah. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I like it. Are we going to keep going?
So, only 3 months ago, we were in London in the festival hall, and she read her poetry to 2,000 people in a huge
2,500
in a huge auditorium. Wow. And you read very well. It was great.
Were you nervous?
Yes and no. It's an annual competition, and I'd been This was the third time I'd been shortlisted, but it was much more daunting this year, because the poetry world has finally learned how to do publicity. It's crazy. I really liked the festival hall, and it feels very ordinary, because it was 1951, I think, wasn't it, that it opened, and so just we're about the same age, and
perfect. You've grown with it.
Yes, and I just I don't know. It doesn't feel like a threatening situation. I don't get freaked out by readings particularly. And timing is hard with poetry readings, but as long as you get that all right, then.
How do you know a poetry reading is going well.
Oh, the quality of the attention.
Yeah,
You
okay.
can feel it in
Oh, you
every
can just
pore
feel
of
it,
your
okay.
skin.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can hear a pin drop.
I listen to the audience in every pore of my skin. That's how it feels.
Yeah.
And then if they're meeting that, that's working all right.
And then how did you feel afterwards? Did you feel content?
Yes, I was pleased, and it was also live screened, so a lot of people that I know up here
wonderful.
and see every day. I got lots of feedback, and from my family, my sisters were both online, and yeah.
Brilliant. And you were there? You were present?
I was.
Yes.
I was there with.
Were you nervous for her?
No. Then you handle those situations. You don't. It's not a worry for you, is it? And yeah, you are a master of a mistress of your craft. I'm not in competition with
You
it.
can't quite judge what's...
Gillian's poetry is it's brief and there's a lot of air in them.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a mystery, isn't it, poetry?
It's not easy. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a very hard work reading poems.
And Gillian's always said people are nervous about poetry. And it's a shame, really. I mean,
You mean nervous about talking about it, nervous about reading it?
oh, writing it. Oh, no, that would be sort of like, it's like those terrible dreams where you sort of find yourself, you're walking along a catwalk and suddenly you realise you're naked and there's people on. I never have those dreams. Well, I know what you're talking about.
Never, not one.
No.
Was that last night or the night before?
No, but that's the sort of thing. It does. People feel naked when they're sort of if they write poetry, I think, and it's a shame.
But it's lovely to be naked. Just ask the nudists. They love it.
That's true. Yeah.
But there's also, I always feel like the poem's like a bowl, and it, when it's finished, contains what you're saying and desperately about yourself and the most intimate things in your life. Somehow it's protected because it's within
I
the
like
poem.
that. Poetry is a bowl. I like that. You did the workshop, but you left it there.
I've done about 3 workshops, haven't I? Something like that. So,
Do you think he could be a good poet? Do you think he is a good poet?
I think I shouldn't pontificate about it.
she's just being kind. No, I could write. I mean, that wouldn't be my natural thing. I would write about anything. I was writing about science, probably, wouldn't I? I am interested in how things are and explanations.
What in the world scientifically currently can you just not fathom that you wish you could fathom?
That's okay. I'm going to answer a slightly different question. I am.
That's always the trick. You answer whatever question you want.
I am absolutely in awe of life. I mean, the weird idiosyncratic ways that viruses come up and do things, just things that you wouldn't expect. And I mean, how does our immune system work? I know I know a lot about how our immune system works. It's unbelievable, but physics is pretty much solved, and it's great. I mean, I love the fact that the universe starts out with a big bang, and then you get photons, and then you get hydrogen and atoms, and then they condense into stars, and then you get metals, and it's wonderful, isn't it? What a great story. But then life, bloody hell. Do we think that life is only here on this planet? I mean, a bit nervous about that because it really could get wiped out at any minute, couldn't it? I mean, we won't wipe it out with climate change. We might wipe out civilization. But it's wonderful. Life is just so much more than you could possibly hope for, really. And it's miserable, it's cold, and it's Tuesday, and I hate myself, I hate my life, But so we're pretty ungrateful creatures, aren't we?
But I think if we were too grateful and too in awe all the time, it would just be overwhelming.
Yeah, that's right. You just sort of sit there.
You wouldn't get anything done.
That's right. Yeah.
Can we have 5 more minutes? There's something I really want to do, because this is the first time we've had 2 people on the bench. I'm going to give my microphone to Gillian. Can you stick that on just the top there somewhere? And because we've heard much more from this one,
No surprise. No
This is
surprises.
the normal state of affairs.
so here's with this lad. What I'm going to do is this. I am going to
Okay,
go round the corner
right.
for
A few
a
minutes.
few minutes. The job is you must ask questions of Gillian,
Right. Okay.
okay?
And she must-
I'll be back in 3 minutes.
You can, if you go down there, you'll find a bridge, and then you can come back along the other side. How about that? And there's a bridge there. Well, questions for you. Okay. Yeah. Well, Gillian, yeah. So we've been together 14 years. So I mean, are you happy that we did that?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Hasn't been easy, but yes, overall.
What was hard?
As long as I can go off by myself and be in my writing place and be alone there, it's not difficult. It's been great, a great combination. Yes, but I don't know whether I'll go on needing to do that. I might open up more so that I can be sharing myself more, person to person. I don't know. You're important in my journey.
So I've provided the difficulties that you needed to make progress.
Yes, absolutely.
Can you give an example of what those difficulties, what those difficulties might be? What kind of things that you wouldn't have otherwise it would have taken you longer to address them?
The fact that in some ways you and I are so different, accepting those differences and having to not just tolerate another human being, but open up to that human being and rejoice. That's been the most important thing.
And what's been good about it?
Well, that has. I do not rejoice easily. That's been great.
So I think you're right. Some difficulties that we have had in the past of that I see things differently than you do. I think we've got past them in a way. But then it feels to me like there are still other challenges. I mean, we've all got the challenge we're going to die, haven't we? But I'm not
Yes.
talking about that. I mean, but there are things still in your life that you're working through. So what do you think? What kind of things? What are you working through at the moment?
Yes, I think you are important to me on my own journey into being more of a whole human being than I have been able to be until now. I mean, there were big distortions and difficulties when I was born and in the first few years of my life, and some of them were, I think, too difficult to deal with until now. And so and you've been instrumental in helping that to happen.
I kind of get that because actually, you know, it is easier to be yourself if you've got someone that you can share that with,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Because how else are you going to sort of talk about how things are really? And you can't get to a point where you can talk in an absolutely straightforward way. I mean, we might call it an open way, a way which is where you don't have to be pretending until you've done an awful lot of talking.
Yes,
Yeah,
which we have.
we have done a lot of talking.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, I still think. So, do you still see your sort of main thing as your main thing's still writing? That's what you said to me the other day. Well, I'm not sure I'm going to go on writing, but I don't believe you. I think you will. So yeah, so So you've got something. I don't know what I have really. I just kind of do things. I just fix things.
You've got computers.
Well, I know, but I mean, you know that, yeah.
Your expertise and the extent to which you can help all the people around you in their struggles with this peculiar,
Technology.
difficult technology.
Yeah. Yeah. And are you optimistic about such things as are difficult still, which I think you find it difficult as you get nervous about things. And do you feel sort of like that you're going to get control of all that?
I feel, I mean, things become difficult between us because we each have our rough edges and shaky bits. And I think in extremes, oh no, it's all finished, that's terrible. And
You
then-
do. You think in extremes, that's true. Yeah.
But then it's another day and we're on a different level and we're teasing each other or something. I think, oh, it's all right, actually. And it's that variation that I find difficult to live with, but actually that's the thing that's necessary, I think.
And it's true, we have got to a point where we know each other well enough and we've been through like difficult conversations, rows, you might call them rows, but they're not really rows. They're not kind of like we're shouting at each other. We're intensely exchanging arguments often, but we've been through them, and then you come out the other side, and so you know that in a future situation, that's the same thing's going to happen. You know, in the end, you know, so sort of in a couple of hours' time, we're going to have supper. So it makes it possible to just sort of stand back from the difficulties. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Shall we get him back again?
Well, yes.
He'll leave us.
Well, yeah, we could run off with his equipment. Well, I think actually, Tom, you know, that was for actually that's been very. Thank you very much. That having that conversation between us is actually really quite useful. We've said a couple of things to each other that we haven't really said before. Quite appreciative things to each other.
Oh, lovely.
Well,
Yeah.
you see, there you are. You see what you can do, and you know you've
You'll be looking for.
made our relationship go on different tracks, and
Right.
Well, we've done it.
We have.
yes,
Yeah.
But there's one last question.
Oh no.
Don't worry. You remember there was the first and the last?
Well, yes.
Yes.
I mean, we talked about your last question, of course.
Right.
The last question is, what are you going to do next? You see? It's a springboard. We're not dying, we're going forward forever.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what I don't know what the answer. Gillian's answer is. I am trying to understand what the hell is going on with AI, and I want an AI assistant to take on my do list and just tell me what to do.
So you're just very concerned about AI things.
God knows where it's going. God knows where it's going. But I do think it's going to change everything. And about bloody time. I mean, you know, the whole, this world where the only thing that matters is money. I mean, I did a business course a long time ago, and we did an accounting module. And the very first thing they told us was, the accounting guys said, well, what you have to realise is that everything in our world is measurable in terms of money. No, no. I mean, it's not. But the world that we're in is really stupid. In order for you to have a means of, not you, but most people, to have a means of getting the necessities of life, we have to basically come up with some stuff that somebody else wants to buy. So that in order to be allowed to be alive. Well, I mean, what the hell?
That's a very good way of putting it.
You know,
Yeah.
we are, the world is incredibly wealthy and we just don't have to do it this way. Am I talking too much?
Well, I mean,
So-
this is all good. You're saying good things.
Yeah.
Listen, I absolutely need to find a loo.
Right.
Oh, but
So-
can you answer? So you're going to say what you're going to do next? Go to the loo.
Yes, I'm
Right.
going.
Anything else in a grand way? Do you just want to answer in a matter-of-fact way? No pressure.
When I've found a loo,
Then you'll know.
Then I'll know what I'm going to do next.
I'm going to research how to build this gate.
Yes.
Right.
Oh my God. The gate. We've got to do the gate.
Gate's still off its hinges, but the garden's looking fine. Maybe with the summer you can find the time. First we beg to differ, then agree to disagree. Saturdays or Sundays, Providence or anarchy. Ooh-wee. Ooh-wee. I was young then, I was older, now I'm where I'm supposed to be. So laugh until it's funny, or leave it at the door. Sit right here if it takes all year to get the triple word score. Say you've got it figured, this mystery of living, and the past won't hold a grudge, yeah, but the future's less forgiving. Ooh-wee. Ooh-wee. I was young then, older, now I'm where I'm supposed to be. Ooh-wee. Ooh-wee. I was young then, I was older, now I'm where I'm supposed to be. I was young then, I was older.